where we dive into the most bizarre and fascinating stories from history. Today, we're talking about an emperor so infamous, his name has become a synonym for tyranny and madness, Caligula. Was he truly a deranged lunatic, or is there more to his story? Let us unravel the tale of one of history's most notorious rulers and his even more famous horse, Gaius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, better known by his childhood nickname Caligula, which means little boots, ascended to the throne of the Roman Empire in 37 AD. Initially, his reign was met with widespread joy. The people loved him. He was the son of the beloved General Germanicus, and he started his rule by granting bonuses to the military, abolishing unpopular taxes, and freeing citizens who had been unjustly imprisoned. For the first few months, it seemed like a golden age was dawning for Rome. But then, something changed. A severe illness struck Caligula, and when he recovered, he was a different man. The benevolent, popular young emperor was replaced by a figure described in our sources as cruel, extravagant, and utterly unhinged. Executed rivals on a whim, and engaged in lavish projects that nearly bankrupted the empire. It's during this period of alleged madness that we meet the most famous member of his court, a horse. His name was Incitatus, which translates to swift, or at a gallop. This wasn't just any horse. Incitatus was Caligula's most prized possession, a magnificent Spanish stallion. And when I say prized, I mean it. Caligula's affection for this animal went far beyond what any normal pet owner would consider reasonable. Incitatus lived a life of unimaginable luxury, a life that most Roman citizens could only dream of. His stable was made of marble, with a manger carved from pure ivory. He was fed oats mixed with flakes of gold. He drank from a golden bucket. He was adorned with a collar of precious jewels and wore purple blankets, the color reserved for the emperor himself. He had a dedicated staff of servants to attend to his every need. On the eve of a race, Caligula would even dispatch soldiers to enforce silence in the neighborhood to ensure Incitatus got a perfect night's sleep. This horse lived better than most senators, and that was just the beginning. Caligula would often invite Incitatus to dine with him at the Imperial palace. The horse would be brought into the grand dining hall, propped up on lavish cushions, and served the finest foods and wines from golden goblets. Guests were expected to treat the horse with the utmost respect, as if he were a high-ranking dignitary. To slight the horse was to slight the emperor, a mistake few would make twice. This all sounds eccentric, certainly, but it's the next part of the story that cemented Caligula's reputation for insanity. It's the story that has echoed through the centuries as the ultimate symbol of his madness. His plan to make Incitatus a consul. Imagine the scene. The Roman Senate, the most powerful political body in the world's greatest empire, is assembled. These are proud, aristocratic men, descendants of the founders of Rome. They are used to wielding immense power and influence. The Emperor Caligula enters, perhaps with a glint of malice in his eye. He addresses the silent, fearful assembly. He speaks of the current state of affairs, the corruption, the incompetence, the disloyalty he sees among them. And then he drops the bombshell. He declares his intention to appoint a new consul. The consuls were the highest elected officials in the Roman Republic. And under the empire, the position was still one of immense prestige and honor. The senators likely leaned forward, wondering which of them would be elevated, or perhaps which new favorite would be granted this honor. Caligula then announces his chosen candidate, his horse, Incitatus. You can almost hear the collective gasp the stunned silence that must have fallen over the Senate chamber. A horse. He wanted to make a horse one of the two leaders of the Roman state. According to the historian Suetonius, one of our main sources for this period, Caligula didn't just suggest it. He fully intended to do it. The horse would have his own house, slaves, and a budget to entertain dignitaries in his own name. The senators were trapped. What could they do? To laugh would be suicide. To protest would mean certain death. Caligula was known for his violent temper and his readiness to execute anyone who displeased him. So they sat there, in their togas, in the heart of Roman power, forced to listen as their emperor proposed elevating an animal to a position once held by giants of history like Cicero and Caesar. It was the ultimate humiliation, a display of absolute power so total that it bordered on the absurd. So why did he do it? Was Caligula genuinely insane? Did he truly believe his horse was capable of being a consul? This is where historical interpretation comes in. The first and most popular theory is that, yes, he was simply mad. The illness he suffered early in his reign might have caused brain damage, leading to megalomania and erratic behavior. In this view, making his horse a consul was just another act in a long line of bizarre and cruel stunts. It was the whim of a deranged mind that no longer understood the boundaries of reason or propriety. But there's another, more compelling interpretation. What if Caligula wasn't mad at all, but was instead a brilliant, cynical political In this view, the plan to appoint Incitatus was not an act of insanity, but a calculated political statement. The Roman Senate, once a powerful and independent body, had become largely sycophantic and useless under the emperors. They rubber-stamped the emperor's decisions and were often corrupt and subversive. By suggesting his horse for consul, Caligula was delivering a powerful and insulting message. He was essentially telling the senators, "You are so useless, so meaningless, that my horse could do your job just as well, if not better." It was a gesture of supreme contempt, designed to mock the senators and highlight their powerlessness. He was showing them that their titles and honors were completely at his mercy. So much so that he could bestow them upon an animal if he so wished. If this was his goal, it was a masterful piece of political theater. It was a terrifying, darkly humorous demonstration that he, the emperor, was the only one with real power in Rome. He could break any rule, defy any tradition, and they were powerless to stop him. Ultimately, Caligula was assassinated by his own Praetorian Guard in 41 AD, after less than 4 years on the throne. His plan to make Incitatus consul never came to fruition. After his death, the historical accounts, written by members of the senatorial class he so despised, painted him as the monster we remember today. Authors like Suetonius and Cassius Dio had every reason to portray him in the worst possible light. They were writing for an audience that wanted to believe Caligula was a madman, rather than a cruel but rational tyrant who had systematically humiliated them. So, what is the legacy of this bizarre episode? The story of Caligula and Incitatus serves as a cautionary tale about absolute power. Whether he was a madman or a master of political satire, Caligula's actions revealed the fragility of political institutions when faced with a ruler who has no respect for them. The idea of a horse as a consul has become a lasting symbol of arbitrary and irrational rule. In the end, we may never know for sure what was going through Caligula's mind. Was he a lunatic who loved his horse, or a cold, calculating tyrant with a wicked sense of humor? Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between. But the story itself is a powerful reminder that sometimes The line between madness and political genius can be terrifyingly thin. It's one of those historical tales that is so strange, it has to be true. What do you think? Was Caligula crazy, or was he sending a message? Let us know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this dive into Roman history, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories that prove history is stranger than fiction. See you next time.